In the 1800s, the Appalachian Mountains thundered with a clash of picks and drills as miners cut into ancient rock, chasing gold and gemstones. Yet long before men swung their tools, water had already carved passages through stone, forming cavern systems that stretch for miles underground. Some fueled America's mining boom before being abandoned when the ore was gone. Others were left untouched, their purpose still uncertain. At Emerald Village in North Carolina, century-old tunnels reveal chambers once filled with mica that powered industry across the nation. Yonah Mountain in Georgia rises with cliffs tied to Native American legends of love, loss, and sacrifice. And Hickory Nut Falls, plunging 400 feet, has drawn travellers for generations, its waters shaping rock as they have for millions of years. Join us on a journey through the Appalachian Mountains, places so extraordinary you'll wonder why no one ever told you about them before. Located within Monongahela National Forest, Seneca Rocks is recognised for its distinctive quartzite fins. Its name comes from the Seneca people, a member of the Iroquois Confederacy, who inhabited the area in earlier centuries. It is one of the only places in the region with a trail leading to the summit, though the final portion requires technical skill due to sheer rock faces. In fact, it is accessible only by climbers. There is no constructed walkway to the top. The highest technical climbing route, Old Man's Route, reaches the top of the North Peak and was first climbed in the 1930s. Hidden within the forest are the Falls of Hills Creek, which contain a series of 3 waterfalls that are accessible by a boardwalk and stairs. Famous for one of the world's longest insect migrations, the monarch butterflies migrate through the Appalachian region to the mountains in Mexico. In fact, they are the only North American butterfly known to make 2-way, annual long-distance migrations. They rely on genetic clocks and sun navigation, using antennae to time their journey and eyes to track solar position. These butterflies are notably cold-blooded and rely on environmental warmth, roosting thousands together on trees during migration pauses. During these pauses, they also nectar on late-season flowers to fuel their flight with stored fat for the journey. Their journey is completed by a supergeneration that lives 8 times longer than typical monarchs, up to 8 months instead of a few weeks. Standing at 4,863 feet above sea level, Spruce Knob marks the highest point in West Virginia. The summit features an observation tower where visitors can view the surrounding forests and ridges. The area boasts cooler temperatures and is characterized by spruce trees and unique alpine-like vegetation. Known for its small size and secretive nature, the northern saw-whet owl is nocturnal, most active from dusk to dawn, and hunts mainly small mammals such as mice and voles. Preferring dense forests and thickets to camouflage itself and avoid predators, it typically nests in abandoned woodpecker holes or natural cavities. With its facial discs that help funnel sound to its ears and its ability for silent flight, it is highly adapted for night hunting. Interestingly, it has been found wintering farther north than many other owl species, defying typical migration patterns. Inhabiting a variety of regions in Monongahela National Forest, the bobcat is an elusive, primarily nocturnal animal, which makes daytime sightings uncommon. Despite being solitary, sometimes the same routes are used for generations, hinting at learned travel patterns. They may mimic a bush or rock by remaining still, assisting in successful ambushes or avoiding detection. Chimney Rock State Park features a prominent 315-foot tall granite monolith estimated to be 535 million years old. Named for its chimney-like shape, it features a historic stairway and elevator access built in the early 20th century. Jerome Freeman was the first private owner who built the initial stairway and charged 25 cents for horseback tours in the 1800s. The park required 8 tons of dynamite to carve a tunnel for park roads. It is home to over 90 rare plant species and various animal habitats. Black vultures are large, social scavengers commonly found in Chimney Rock State Park. These birds are defined by their glossy black plumage, broad wings with distinctive white patches on the undersides, and short, squared tails. They soar at high elevations, using thermals to cover large distances while searching for carrion by sight rather than smell. Highly social, they roost and forage in large flocks, often driving away solitary turkey vultures from carcasses. Since they lack a voice box, they are unable to make complex sounds and instead communicate using grunts and hisses. Interestingly, they regularly love to sun themselves with wings spread to dry feathers and warm up, as well as urinate on their legs to cool down via evaporative cooling. A 404-foot waterfall, Hickory Nut Falls, is the second tallest east of the Mississippi River. Featured in the film The Last of the Mohicans, it is reachable via a 1.5-mile round-trip hike through forest trails. Built in 1927 as a resort lake by Dr. Lucius Morse, Lake Lure is famous for its boating, lake tours, and stunning setting. It served as the backdrop for the cult classic movie Dirty Dancing, with the lakeshore hosting iconic dance scenes. The Catskill Mountains are a prominent mountain range in southeastern New York, forming part of the larger Appalachian system. Containing more than 30 peaks taller than 3,500 feet, the region is notable for its mature, dissected plateau, which was originally flat land eroded into sharp valleys and rounded peaks by ice, glaciers and rivers. Notably, Washington Irving's story of Rip Van Winkle was set here, and the mountains are closely associated with the Hudson River School of Painters from the 1800s. Historically, it is popular for outdoor recreation, hiking, skiing and vacation resorts, with many large hotels operating in the mid-20th century. Commonly found in the Appalachian woodlands and meadows is the white-tailed deer, named after the underside of its tail, which flares upwards as a flag when alarmed or fleeing. In addition to that, they are known as the athletes of the forest, being able to run up to 30 miles per hour when being chased. These animals have preferences in their diet despite being passive herbivores, preferring the most nutritious plants in the summer, but then relying more on woody browse and stored fat in the winter. They are primarily crepuscular, but will forage in daylight, especially in summer. Their lifespan in the wild is typically 6 to 15 years. The Kaaterskill Falls is a two-tier waterfall with a combined height of 260 feet, one of the tallest in New York and the entire eastern US. First written about by naturalist John Bartram in 1753, it has since become an iconic subject for Hudson River School painters, especially Thomas Cole, inspiring 19th century landscape art and poetry. In fact, it became one of America's oldest tourist destinations, with artwork and hotels drawing crowds since the 1800s. Taller than Niagara Falls, its 1.4-mile hike is popular but also dangerous, with casualties since 1992. Cuckoos found in the Catskill region include the black-billed and yellow-billed cuckoo, recognised for their distinctive, repetitive calls heard during spring and summer. They are medium-sized birds, ranging from 12 to 15 inches long, with slender bodies, long tails, and brownish or grey plumage. These birds tend to prefer forested areas rich in insects, especially caterpillar outbreaks, feeding voraciously and helping control pest populations. They are also famous for their elusive behaviour, often more easily heard than seen. They dart quickly between dense foliage. Their most infamous trait is being notorious brood parasites, laying eggs in the nests of other birds, leaving hosts to raise cuckoo chicks. The chicks can outcompete or even eject host eggs, such as chicks, from the nest, monopolising foster parent care. Canaan Valley contains the largest wetland complex in the region, comprised of bogs, shrub swamps, and wet meadows. A national natural landmark. Since 1974, it is regarded as a museum of ancient habitats and a boreal relict at this latitude. It is also a biodiversity hotspot, hosting over 43 rare plants, 12 rare invertebrates, and 6 rare bird species such as the cedar waxwing. The cedar waxwing is named for the waxy red tips on secondary wing feathers and its association with cedar and juniper berries. Highly nomadic, it travels in flocks of often over 100 birds, following ripening fruit across habitats in the Appalachians and Canaan Valley. In fact, its diet mostly consists of berries and fruit, as it is able to survive on a fruit-only diet for months. It then switches to insects during the breeding season or when fruit is scarce. Additionally, flocks are highly sociable and would pass berries from bill to bill along a perch until one swallows it. The nutria, also called koipu or swamp rat, is a large semi-aquatic rodent, originally named from Spanish nutria, meaning otter, derived from Latin lutra. With a preference for wetlands, ponds, ditches and river habitats, they dig burrows and construct floating feeding platforms. They typically need to eat 25% of their body weight daily, feeding mainly on aquatic plants, roots, rhizomes, and occasionally crops like corn, rice and alfalfa. They possess webbed hind feet and specialised mouth and nose valves that enable skilled swimming, making them able to stay underwater for up to 5 minutes. Nutrias also have prominent orange teeth due to iron pigmentation, aiding root cutting. Teeth grow throughout their lives. The Hocking Hills is a region in southeastern Ohio famed for caves, waterfalls, and dramatic sandstone formations. Made up of 7 main areas, it was named after the Hocking River, called Hocking, or Bottle River, by Native American tribes due to its bottle-shaped gorge. Ash Cave is the largest recessed cave in Ohio and east of the Mississippi, made of black hand sandstone and formed over 300 million years ago. Famously horseshoe-shaped, it features a seasonal waterfall, dropping 90 feet into a sandy floor, set among towering sandstone cliffs and forested slopes. The cave is named for the massive piles of ashes discovered by early settlers inside it, which are theorised to be left by centuries of Native American campfires. Early theories included lead or silver, smelting, saltpeter production. The pileated woodpecker is the largest woodpecker in Hocking Hills, boasting black plumage, bold white stripes down the neck and face, and a flaming red crest. Males have a red cheek stripe. Its powerful chisel-shaped bill is used to carve large, rectangular holes, up to 1.5 to 2 inches wide, in trees, making it a true tree cleaver. It drills into dead trees and fallen logs seeking insects, especially carpenter ants, which can be up to 97% of their diet in some individuals. Such excavations create nesting sites for other birds, ducks, bats, and forest mammals, making them keystone engineers of forest ecosystems. Located along the Allegheny River, Swallow Falls State Park showcases a stand of eastern hemlock trees, some over 300 years old, the last of its kind in the state. It contains 257 acres of rocky canyon and deep forest, with a mile-long hiking trail through old growth. The park was developed in the 1930s by the Civilian Conservation Corps and officially became a state park in 1940. The land was once almost dammed, logged, or developed as an amusement park, but was preserved through coordinated public outcry and historical advocacy. During World War II, control transferred to the Maryland Forestry Board for further protection and recreational development. The eastern chipmunk is the only chipmunk species found in Maryland, including Swallow Falls State Park. It is recognisable by its reddish-brown fur, bold black and white stripes along its back and face, and puffed cheek pouches for carrying food. This chipmunk is often seen collecting scraps near campsites and picnic tables, quickly learning which areas yield easy meals. It would then store food for winter in underground chambers, as its cheek pouches allow efficient transport of large quantities to burrows. Interestingly, it can flatten itself against tree trunks to hide from predators like hawks or weasels, remaining motionless for minutes. The northeast Georgia mountain town of Helen has been fully styled as a Bavarian Alpine village with cobblestone streets, chalet-style architecture, and German signage everywhere since 1969. Initially a logging town, the transformation was the idea of artist John Collock, aiming to revive the local economy after logging declined. Early German-style zoning codes mandated that every building keep the Bavarian theme, from hotels to national franchise storefronts. Ranked as the third most visited city in Georgia, it welcomes millions of tourists for its ambience, shopping, river tubing on the Chattahoochee, and especially Oktoberfest. Oktoberfest, held annually since 1970, is the longest-running festival of its kind in the US, with parades, German music, dancing, and a beer hall called the Festhalle. In recent years, Helen has also hosted car rallies and cultural gatherings inspired by European traditions. Nearby Yonah Mountain is a prominent landmark that eventually became a state park in 1971. It once served as an ancient Native American spiritual site called Tlanusiyi, which means where the man lives in Cherokee, and later became popular for hunting, climbing, and hiking. Watauga Lake is a large man-made reservoir in northeast Tennessee, surrounded by Appalachian ridges and fed by several mountain streams. It was created by impounding the Watauga and Elk rivers, and the Watauga Dam became one of the highest earth and rock dams in the US. Home to abundant fish, its water levels can fluctuate for flood control and power generation. The lake is considered one of the cleanest in the TVA system, a favourite for swimming and water sports. The Allegheny National Forest is the sole national forest in Pennsylvania, set in the foothills of the Appalachians on the Allegheny Plateau. It is famous for its vast stretches of hardwood forest, primarily black cherry, and about 1/3 of the world's supply comes from here. However, its old-growth forests of hemlock and beech were nearly wiped out between 1890 and 1930 by intensive logging and wood chemical production. The decimated land gave it the nickname Allegheny Brush Patch. Fortunately, the Forest Service helped regenerate lands, focusing on black cherry and hardwoods with age cohorts now mostly 70 to 100 years old. The Allegheny River is a major mountain river flowing through Pennsylvania and New York, and a key tributary, forming the Ohio River with the Monongahela at Pittsburgh. Early Native American law references the Allegheny tribe and their lands living in the river's vicinity. The river's valley was also home to Shawnee, Delaware, and Seneca tribes, even witnessing fierce fighting during the French and Indian War. In 1707, it became a designated public highway for rafts and flatboats, significant for travel and trade from New York and Pennsylvania to Pittsburgh and beyond. It specifically had a vital role in coal, oil and lumber transport throughout the 1800s and early 1900s. The area is also home to the scarlet tanager, a medium-sized songbird with males in summer showing bright red plumage and black wings in a tail, although females and juveniles are olive yellow with darker wings and tails. They are found almost exclusively in mature hardwood forests high in the canopy, being hard to spot despite their bright colours. Despite being prey, these birds would mob predators by diving and swooping, and pairs or small groups attack crows, jays, and even squirrels that threaten their nests. As migratory birds, they cross the Gulf of Mexico to winter in forests of South America, as autumn molt turns males olive yellow like females. These flights are completed at night, and some birds reach the Appalachian forests in early March, peaking in numbers by mid-April. Kinzua Bridge State Park is home to the remains of the Kinzua Viaduct, once the tallest and longest railroad bridge in the world. It was built in only 94 working days in 1882 by 40 to 100 workers without scaffolding, as they used hollow wrought iron columns called phoenix columns. The bridge was dubbed the eighth wonder of the world when it opened, though it then had to be rebuilt in steel in 1900 for heavier trains. It remained a commercial rail line until the mid-1900s, then was turned into a state-owned park centrepiece and a tourism destination for scenic train rides thereafter until the early 2000s. On July 21, 2003, an F1 tornado tore through the valley, destroying 11 of 20 towers and collapsing over half the bridge in less than 30 seconds. Corroded bolts failed under wind stress. The state saved the remains as a visitor attraction rather than rebuilding, and today it repurposes the remaining bridge section into a pedestrian walkway 225 feet above the valley floor, ending at a glass platform. The Hudson Highlands is a mountainous region that received its modern name in the mid-19th century for its weather-exposed summit. Occupied by Lenape people before European arrival, it then became an important strategic zone in the American Revolution, with multiple forts protecting river routes and thwarting British advances. In fact, a massive chain stretched across the river at West Point from 1778 to 1782 to block British vessels, with surviving links still being seen in Newburgh. It also remains a vital corridor for migratory birds in the Atlantic Flyway. The Hudson River flows from Lake Tyr of the Clouds in the Adirondacks, south through the Appalachian foothills and Hudson Highlands to New York Harbor. It is named after English explorer Henry Hudson, who travelled its length in 1609 for the Dutch East India Company. Notably, the lower Hudson through the highlands is a fjord-like drowned valley, creating steep gorges and scenic terrain. This makes the valley a vital wildlife corridor and migratory bird waypoint, as it also holds the only remaining population of several rare amphibians, reptiles, and butterflies in the state. Rising above the river is Breakneck Ridge, noted for its technical rock scrambles and sweeping river views. The rocky landscape was shaped by the Wisconsin glaciation, with ice scouring the mountains and forging the Hudson River's valley. Regarded as one of the most demanding hikes in the region and potentially the East Coast, the first quarter mile of trail ascends over 500 feet, requiring hands and feet for climbing. According to local legend, a bull was chased across neighbouring Bull Hill by farmers and leaped off the edge of the ridge, breaking its neck. At 811 feet, Whitewater Falls is the tallest waterfall east of the Rocky Mountains. It is part of the protected Nantahala National Forest and links to the Foothills Trail, a 77-mile hiking route traversing the Western Carolinas. Additionally, a stairway and viewing platforms were established after it became a popular tourist destination in the mid-20th century. Lightning strikes are common in the gorge due to local weather patterns, with signs warning hikers to avoid exposed overlooks during storms. The Blue Ridge Mountains are famous for clear, rocky ridges, rounded summits, mesas, deep river gorges, and old-growth forests across the mid-Atlantic and southeast. They are part of a major mountain chain, forming the eastern backbone of the Appalachians, running for about 615 miles from southern Pennsylvania through northern Georgia. Notably, the mountains were named for the bluish haze visible from a distance, a result of hydrocarbons released by thick forests mixing with moisture and sunlight. They were first referenced as Blue Ridge by early European explorers for the distinctive blue appearance along the horizon. As a prominent peak among the Blue Ridge Mountains, Mount Pisgah was named by local settlers after the peak from which Moses viewed the Promised Land. The area is protected within Pisgah National Forest, established in 1916 as one of the country's first national forests. Historic trails crisscross the slopes, including segments of the Mountains to Sea Trail. Found thriving in the damp forests of the range is the ground beetle, an insect characterized by elongated bodies, strong legs, and speedy movement. Most are black or metallic, ranging from 0.2 to 1.4 inches long, with powerful mandibles for predation. They are nocturnal hunters, feeding on caterpillars, ants, other insects, and even snails, with some species even specializing as ant lions by digging pit traps to catch prey. Many emit chemical sprays from their abdomen when threatened, with some even being able to produce benzaldehyde or formic acid, with a noticeable smell and occasionally a slight burn. They avoid flight, relying on running to ambush prey or escape predators. Fossilized ancestors of ground beetles date back 230 million years, making them some of the longest-lived insect lineages in North American forests. At the foothills of the range is Lake James, a man-made lake part of the headwaters for the Catawba River via Linville, Paddy's Creek, and Catawba Arms. It was named after James B. Duke, founder of Duke Power, who financed the creation of the lake and the hydroelectric dam completed in 1923. Its water levels fluctuate up to 12 feet through the seasons, depending on rainfall and electricity demand. Multiple islands dot the lake, some created by drowned hilltops and old roadbeds. A bald summit that stands out in the range is Coal Mountain, as it features a meadow-like corridor not found on the typical forested peaks of the Blue Ridge. In fact, it features a broad, grassy summit clearing, offering panoramic views, wildflowers and hiking routes, including the Appalachian Trail and nearby Mount Pleasant Loop. The area is also part of the George Washington National Forest, managed for both recreation and nature conservation. Its bald summit is said to have possibly been formed by a combination of grazing, early agriculture, or lightning fires, though its exact origins are still debated. The Blue Ridge Parkway is a scenic highway stretching 469 miles between Shenandoah National Park in Virginia and Great Smoky Mountains National Park in North Carolina. It is known for sweeping mountain vistas, curving roads, stone tunnels, and direct access to countless overlooks, hiking trails, and visitor centres. Due to these traits, it is often called America's favourite drive. In fact, the area was initially developed to support tourism and relief for Depression-era workers, creating thousands of jobs during its construction. The Lost Cove Cliffs encompasses part of the grandfather ranger district of Pisgah National Forest, linking it to a network of trails and conservation lands. It is named after the Lost Cove area, a remote mountain valley hidden below the cliffs within Pisgah National Forest. It has an overlook which is officially signed and offers a pull-off with parking for around 20 vehicles. Along the Blue Ridge Parkway is a multi-tiered waterfall called Linville Falls. Water drops in 4 cascades, totaling about 150 feet in height, with the largest single drop plunging 45 feet into a gorge. The surrounding area was used by the Cherokee for seasonal hunting and gathering, with the gorge and fall site being considered significant for tribal ceremonies. The falls also mark the beginning of Linville Gorge, often called the Grand Canyon of the East. Significantly, in 2010, kayaker Pat Keller successfully navigated the biggest drop, a feat previously thought impossible. Price Lake is framed by the slopes of Grandfather Mountain and surrounded by hardwood forest. It honours Julian Price, who had a vision for public recreation and conservation. The nearby campground and amphitheatre host family events, environmental education, and seasonal programming. It is also one of the parkway's largest recreation areas. Many green dragonflies can be found near freshwater streams and ponds, with the most conspicuous being the common green darner. Boasting a bright green thorax and large, multifaceted eyes, it is one of North America's biggest and most widespread dragonfly species along the Blue Ridge Parkway. It is well regarded for its strong, direct flight and agile aerial maneuvers, as it can hover fly backward, and rapidly change direction. The green darner hunts by patrolling ponds, streams, and open meadows, then feeding on mosquitoes, flies, and even smaller dragonflies. These insects migrate in swarms, up to hundreds or thousands in late summer, paralleling monarch butterfly migration routes. They can reach top speeds approaching 30 miles per hour, making them the fastest insects on the parkway. The largest predatory bird commonly seen fishing lakes and rivers along the parkway is the bald eagle. It was once nearly extinct in the eastern US due to DDT and hunting, and parkway sightings were rare until the 2000s. Adult plumage is dark brown with a bright white head and tail. Juveniles are mostly brown and develop classic colouring at maturity. Females are about 25% larger than males, and such a size difference is clearly visible. Side by side. It hunts fish, waterfowl, and small mammals using powerful talons and a sharp beak, with eyesight up to 4 times sharper than humans, making it able to spot a rabbit from a mile away. The historic estate of Moses H. Cone Memorial Park features a 23-room colonial revival mansion with a flat top, named in memory of Moses Herman Cone, a textile magnate, and the Denim King, who built the estate as a retreat and conservation showcase. After Moses Cone died, Bertha Cone continued to manage and preserve the property, and later deeded it to the Moses H. Cone Memorial Hospital in 1911. The land was transferred to the federal government as a perpetual public park after her death in 1947. The Crabtree Falls is a distinctive, photogenic waterfall. Near milepost 339.5 on the Blue Ridge Parkway in North Carolina. Its trail and stone staircase were built by the Civilian Conservation Corps in the 1930s. Most steps and bridges remain in use today. Often listed among the most scenic waterfalls in the southeastern US, large boulders and birch trees frame the pool at the base. The fertile valley of Shenandoah served as an important route for migration, farming, transportation, and historic travel, traversed by the famous Valley Turnpike, now part of Interstate 81. It was originally drained by the Shenandoah River, divided by Massanutten Mountain, and splits the river's north and south forks. Historically, the valley became a strategic breadbasket during the Civil War, providing food for the Confederacy, and saw several battles and raids, including famous campaigns led by Stonewall Jackson, 1862, and Philip Sheridan, 1864. Situated on the Virginia-West Virginia border in the Appalachian Ridges, Tibet Knob is famous for steep hiking trails, panoramic overlooks of Trout Run Valley and the Shenandoah Valley, and rocky summit terrain. A less crowded sister hike to nearby Big Schloss, offering solitude and dramatic views with short, steep scrambles. Uniquely, the trail is fully navigable with yellow blazes, with no turns or junctions to confuse users, and therefore making it ideal for those wishing to hike without a map. Found foraging in forests and open fields of the Appalachians are the wild turkeys, very large ground-dwelling birds with long legs, a wide rounded tail, and a small head on a long slim neck. It is the heaviest member of the Galliformes order and among the biggest flying birds in North America. As an omnivore, it eats acorns, berries, seeds, grass, insects, and small reptiles. During winter, it would rely on stored fat and a more flexible diet to survive deep snow and mast failures, being able to lose up to 40% body weight and survive 2 weeks without food. Another animal frequently sighted in Appalachian clearings and thickets is the eastern cottontail rabbit, most active at dawn and dusk, though visible all day when undisturbed. In fact, It is the most common wild rabbit in North America, recognized by its chunky body, long ears, and short, fluffy white tail that resembles a cotton ball. As a prey animal, it uses zigzag runs to escape predators and has excellent senses, with 100 million scent receptors in the nose for predator detection. Its eyes are also positioned for a wide field of vision, with large ears that help pick up sounds in tall grass. However, when directly threatened, it often freezes in place, thumps the ground, or leaps suddenly. Additionally, despite being a burrowing animal, it does not dig its own burrow and instead uses shallow ground nests or abandoned dens for protection. Established in 1935, Shenandoah National Park is the first national park made entirely from land purchased from private owners, with hundreds of families relocated during its creation. Historically, President Franklin D. Roosevelt dedicated the park in 1936, following years of advocacy after auto travel became popular and few parks existed in the East. Prehistoric megafauna bones have also been discovered in and around the park, with Thomas Jefferson famously having studied some in the early 1800s. It is home to the common reed bunting, a small songbird that tends to live in wetlands, reed beds, marsh edges, and sometimes open grassy areas. The bird mainly forages on the ground or at the base of reeds, rarely feeding in trees, as their nests also tend to be built low in dense vegetation. Interestingly, males perform song flights during early spring, fluttering above reeds to claim territory and attract females. Vocalizations include simple chirps and songs, often heard at dawn and dusk in marshy areas. As the largest cave system in eastern North America, Luray Caverns feature massive chambers, towering columns, and clear underground pools. Discovered in 1878, it opened to visitors with paved pathways covering over 1.5 miles of accessible passages. It is most renowned for intricate stalactites and stalagmites, limestone draperies, and the world's only stalacpipe organ. The eastern grey squirrel is a medium-sized tree squirrel, abundant across Shenandoah's woodlands, meadows, and campgrounds. Agile and tree-dwelling, it is a key scatter hoarder as it buries seeds and nuts throughout its territory to survive winter and promote forest regeneration. It climbs, leaps between branches, and uniquely descends trees head first by rotating its hind feet. It typically communicates via tail flicks, warning calls, and scent marks, and is even able to recognize other squirrels and locations by smell. The town and state park of Ohiopyle is regarded for its whitewater rapids on the fossil-rich hills and top-rated outdoor recreation. The town's population is under 40 year-round, but swells with weekend tourist crowds in peak rafting and hiking season. Discovered on the Allegheny River, the Ohiopyle Falls stretch 150 feet across, forming foamy, tumbling white water. It was first recorded by the Monongahela people before European contact, and later used by the Shawnee, Seneca, and Delaware for travel and hunting. George Washington himself encountered the falls in 1753 and 1754 while scouting during the French and Indian War, describing the impassable drop that forced him to portage his boat. Emerald Village in North Carolina is a mining attraction complex in the Blue Ridge Mountains, home to 12 historic mines in a 35-mile mineral district. It is known for underground tours of the Bon Ami mine, where feldspar and mica were extracted for cleaning powder production. Visitors can explore the North Carolina Mining Museum, see mining gear, displays, and a 16-foot indoor waterfall. Historically, the Crabtree Emerald Mine on site was a source of gems for Tiffany and Company from the late 1800s to the 1990s. Today, visitors can dig for gems themselves and keep what they find, even going so far as to have the gems made into jewellery. The Burnett Branch is a stream in North Carolina that aided in early Appalachian travel, logging camps, moonshine operations, and wildlife corridors. It is characterised by shallow flows, rocky beds, and seasonal changes in water level. Known as the longest river on the East Coast, at 444 miles, the Susquehanna River drains water that is worth almost half of Pennsylvania's land area. The river is named after the Susquehannock people, who were powerful river dwellers who traded furs and fish. It was once a historic highway for migration, canals, industry, and recreation, yet its rocks and rapids make it the longest, unnavigable commercial river in North America. It is also among the oldest rivers in North America, being over 300 million years old. Borough on the west bank of the Susquehanna River, Wormleysburg is directly opposite Harrisburg's capital district. By the mid-1800s, logging and lumber yards dominated the riverbank. The ferry operated from present-day Ferry Street. Serving as the capital city of Pennsylvania, Harrisburg is also the largest city on the lower Susquehanna River, with a metro population of 578,000 in the year 2025. It is named after John Harris, Sr., a pioneer trader and ferry operator who settled here in 1719. Later, his son John Harris, Jr., laid out the town in 1785, officially naming it Harrisburg. Before them, Native Americans would travel and trade at the Harrisburg site, using river ford crossings as early as 3000 BC. The Pennsylvania state capitol is a grand Beaux-Arts and Renaissance Revival architectural landmark. It is home to the General Assembly's legislative chambers, Supreme and Superior Courts, the Governor's and Lieutenant Governor's offices. The dome is inspired by St. Peter's Basilica in Rome and was once the tallest structure between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh for 80 years. However, the current building is actually the third Capitol in Harrisburg, as the first burned in 1897, and the state offices before that were in Philadelphia and Lancaster. The historic river town of Columbia was once a major port for coal, lumber, and produce moving downriver, as well as a terminus for the Philadelphia and Columbia Railroad. It was first settled by John Wright in 1726. Wright built a ferry and platted the town, making Columbia a gateway to the west for centuries. The world's first cast-iron bridge, Columbia-Wrightsville, was built here in 1814, though it was burned in 1863 during the Civil War to prevent Confederate troop crossings. It then proceeded to have a lengthy legacy as a railroad and canal hub, as goods were shipped via canal boats and train cars directly into the Susquehanna. The Amicalola Falls State Park features the tallest waterfall in Georgia as its centerpiece, which is also recognized as one of the 7 natural wonders of Georgia. The falls cascade over a steep mountain bluff before tumbling through 7 separate drops into Amicalola Creek below. Notably, the famous 8 to 8.5 mile Appalachian Trail. Approach Trail begins here, ascending from the visitor centre up to Springer Mountain, where the Appalachian Trail's southern terminus is marked. The Adirondack Mountains are a dome-shaped massif that is geologically distinct, but considered part of the Appalachian region in some definitions. Its name is from the Mohawk word that means eaters of trees, originally a term used by the Iroquois to describe Algonquian-speaking peoples who survived harsh winters by eating bark. The park is about 6 million acres, making it the largest protected area in the contiguous United States, as it is larger than Yellowstone, Yosemite, Grand Canyon, and Glacier National Parks combined. Today, the mountain's rocks are over 1 billion years old, being some of the oldest in North America. Known as the largest tufted owl in North America, the great horned owl is a dominant nocturnal predator across the Adirondacks, active year-round. It is typically solitary, territorial, and monogamous, with pairs mating for life, and often using abandoned hawk or squirrel nests, cliff ledges, or snags for breeding. It has the ability to fly in near silence thanks to serrated, soft-edged wing feathers. It then hunts by perch and pounce, or gliding low over ground, using acute night vision and hearing. Additionally, its head can rotate up to 270 degrees thanks to 14 neck vertebrae. Unlike other birds, it does not need to migrate as it can survive Adirondack winters due to thick feather insulation, slow metabolism, and hunting prowess. A scenic lake in the central Adirondacks, the area around Adirondack Lake, was a settlement and travel corridor for loggers, trappers, and guides in the 19th century. Later, it was heavily featured in the tuberculosis cure cottage era, as patients took rest cures by its shore. Eventually, state land sales after the American Revolution led to vast private estates around the lake, with much of its shoreline today being public and protected. The Ausable Chasm is a sandstone gorge carved by the Ausable River that features legendary formations. Often called the Grand Canyon of the Adirondacks, it was first formed during the last ice age. Glaciers and glacial meltwater around 10,000 years ago began eroding rock, creating today's Box Canyon. Later in 1870, it was established as a major tourist site, being one of the oldest organised attractions in the US. The Lower Ausable Lake is a long, narrow lake located in the high peaks region of the Adirondacks, often compared to a fjord. Fed by streams from the Upper Ausable Lake, its waters flow north as part of the Ausable River system. Rapid ice retreat after the last glaciation sculpted the valley's steep walls and rock faces. Boating is private, managed by the Ausable Club. Visitors can hike but not paddle without permission. Additionally, mountains rise nearly 3,000 feet directly above the lake, creating one of the most vertical landscape drops in the Adirondacks. Famous for building dams and lodges in the waterways of the mountains is the North American beaver, the largest rodent in the Adirondacks. It creates deep ponds by constructing stick and mud barriers across streams for safe lodge access and predator protection. Its physical traits typically include webbed hind feet, a broad flat tail that is used for swimming and alarm signals, small ears, short legs, brown, waterproof fur, and orange, iron-rich teeth. Their teeth grow continuously, so beavers gnaw trees daily to maintain length. The orange colour comes from high iron levels. Interestingly, the state of New York made the beaver its official state mammal. The Harper's Ferry National Historical Park spans a peninsula at the confluence of the Potomac and Shenandoah rivers. Famous for the 1859 John Brown raid at the Federal Armory, widely regarded as a pivotal spark for the Civil War. In fact, it was the site of 5 battles and strategic occupation during the Civil War, changing hands 14 times between Union and Confederate forces. St. Peter's Roman Catholic Church sits atop a prominent rocky bluff above Harper's Ferry, which represents the town's Irish immigrant past and multi-ethnic Catholic tradition. Originally built in 1833 in a pseudo-Gothic style, it is the only church in Harper's Ferry to escape destruction during the Civil War. Constructed in 1848 as a brick fire engine and guardhouse for the Harper's Ferry Armory, John Brown's Fort is the only armory building to survive the Civil War. It became legendary as the site where abolitionist John Brown and his 21 raiders made their last stand in October 1859, hoping to spark a massive slave uprising. Fontana Dam is the biggest dam east of the Rockies and among the deepest man-made lakes in the region. It was built by the Tennessee Valley Authority on the Little Tennessee River to generate electricity for World War II industries, especially aluminum production for fighter planes and atomic energy. The dam's rapid construction set engineering records for speed and height, but poor wartime safety meant fatalities and stories of unmarked graves in the concrete. The oldest town in Tennessee, Jonesboro is home to the National Storytelling Festival, celebrated each October since 1973 as the storytelling capital of the world, drawing over 15,000 visitors annually. Historically, it was briefly the capital of the independent, unrecognised state of Franklin from 1784 to 1789. After Tennessee's statehood in 1796, Jonesboro remained a political, economic and social centre for decades. It also became the centre of abolitionist activity, as Quaker Elihu Embry published The Emancipator here in 1820, which is the first US periodical dedicated solely to ending slavery. The New River Gorge National Park and Preserve is a deep sandstone gorge carved by the north-flowing New River, one of the world's oldest rivers geologically. It is a popular hub for whitewater rafting, rock climbing, hiking, base jumping, and adventure sports. Annual visitation exceeds 1 million people. Stretching across the gorge is a steel arch bridge that is one of the world's longest single-span arch bridges and the third highest bridge in the US. It is among the world's engineering marvels, built of Core 10 weathering steel, which rusts to shield itself, eliminating the need for painting. Seen in nests on the high cliffs nearby is the peregrine falcon, the fastest bird in the world. It hunts via high-speed aerial strike and feeds mostly on other birds, such as various songbirds, ducks and pigeons. Attack is a mighty mid-air blow with talons. They often decapitate prey instantly, sometimes even in flight. Its eye adaptations allow sharp vertical vision, while special nostril bones break up airflow during the high-speed stoop. In more recent years, a restoration project in New River Gorge, called Most Successful on the East Coast, has been conducted with survival rates much higher than in other regions. The nearly abandoned coal town of Thurmond was once a historic boomtown and rail hub in the heart of New River Gorge. Chartered in 1900, it became a major shipping point for coal, with more coal passing through than Cincinnati at its peak in the 1920s. Today, the town's population is in the single digits, with roughly 80% of the old town owned by the National Park Service as a historic district. As the highest mountains in eastern North America, outside New England, the Great Smoky Mountains are internationally recognized for their foggy blue ridges, temperate rainforest, and their black bear population. Its name describes the characteristic blue haze, which is VOC particles mixing with humidity and sunlight, producing a persistent mist that appears as smoke. Inhabited for millennia by Paleo-Indians, then by Cherokee through the 1830s, settlers arrived in the early 1800s, forming communities like Cades Cove and Oconaluftee. Eventually, land for the national park was purchased parcel by parcel, as logging companies, small farmers, and residents were relocated, dissolving entire communities. As previously mentioned, the Smokies are one of the largest wild preserves for black bears in the east, with about 1,900 bears, meaning there is about 2 bears per square mile. These bears are excellent climbers and swimmers and can run up to 30 miles per hour, as well as climb trees using long claws. They also display acute senses, with their smell being many times stronger than humans, and their colour vision being clear to 100 yards. They are most active from spring through fall, with July as peak mating season, then hibernate throughout most of the winter. Despite the high volume in their population, bear attacks are extremely rare. Since 1900, black bears have killed just 61 people across North America. The mountains also host the European hornets, social wasps that build paper-like nests and are common in wooded areas during summer. These nests are often found high in trees or inside large hollows. Nests can measure over 16 inches round, holding thousands of hornets. They usually hunt other insects, especially bees and flies, and worker hornets chew prey to feed developing larvae in the nest. They are also extremely defensive, stinging repeatedly if nests are threatened. Although their venom is less toxic than some wasps, it is usually delivered in larger doses, which causes pain or allergic reactions. Meanwhile, the queens hibernate in soil or wood through winter, then emerge in spring to build new colonies, and finally abandon the nests each fall to start the next generation. Known to be the most visited section of the Smokies, Cades Cove is an isolated valley that attracts over 2 million visitors per year. It features an 11-mile scenic loop road encircling a broad, fertile valley ringed by mountains. The valley is most popular for auto touring, hiking, horseback riding and cycling. Wildlife viewing is best at dawn and dusk. Pigeon Forge serves as the gateway city to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. It stands out for its popularity in entertainment, shopping and attractions, including Dollywood, which is the state's most visited stop. Due to this, its population increases tenfold during peak tourism months. beech trees that once attracted flocks of passenger pigeons disappeared when land was cleared for farming and resort development. A fun fact regarding the town is that the first bottled Coca-Cola in the state came from the Pigeon Forge bottling works. Located in a bowl-shaped valley at the entrance to the Cumberland Narrows is the city of Cumberland. With a popular reputation as a transportation hub, it is a key junction for the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. Historically, it served as headquarters for George Washington and General Braddock during the French and Indian War. Washington even returned as president in 1794 to review troops suppressing the Whiskey Rebellion. Further along in its legacy, it was unfortunately occupied by Union troops during the Civil War. In fact, Union generals Kelly and Crook were captured by Confederates in 1865, making it one of the war's last raids on Union-held territory. The area is part of Gateway to the West, as the Great Allegheny Passage, walking and biking trail links Cumberland to Pittsburgh. The Pocono Mountains are a beautiful highland region in northeast Pennsylvania with a dissected plateau. They are often called a mountain range, but are a part of the Allegheny Plateau, geologically. Many local place names reflect Native American, Dutch and Early English influence from the region's layered history. The area is known to be a recreational paradise, hosting more than 150 lakes, 19 waterfalls, 2 natural parks, 9 state parks, 170 ski trails, plus hiking, resorts and autumn foliage events. The second largest lake fully contained in Pennsylvania, Lake Wallenpaupack was built in 1926 by damming Wallenpaupack Creek for hydroelectric power, flood control, and as a recreation destination. Interestingly, the original wooden flow line to the hydroelectric station was one of the world's longest when built, though it was replaced by steel in the 1950s. Today, summer festivals like Wally Lake Fest feature floating stages, boat flotillas, live music, and lakeside vendors. Tobyhanna Creek is popular for fly fishing, with a delayed harvest section, wild and stocked brook, brown and rainbow trout. It is a tributary of the Lehigh River, flowing through Tobyhanna State Park, Army Depot, and townships across the Pocono Plateau. Chattanooga Lake in Georgia was created in 1942 by the Tennessee Valley Authority building Chattanooga Dam. Although filled in the same year, the dam's floodgates were delayed out of respect for a 92-year-old resident who could not be safely moved. Since it is the highest major lake in Georgia, water sometimes freezes around the edges in winter. On the shore of the lake is the small town of Hiawassee, which received an economic boost from jobs during dam construction and later benefited from tourism and recreation growth. It was founded on an ancient trade route, the Unicoi Turnpike, used by Native Americans for over 1,000 years to transport deer skins and furs to coastal cities. Mount Michel is defined as the highest point east of the Mississippi River. Originally called Black Dome by early settlers and Atacula by the Cherokee, it was renamed for Elisha Mitchell. He was a professor at the University of North Carolina who measured its height using barometric readings in 1835 and proved it to be taller than Mount Washington. The professor even passed away near Mitchell Falls, verifying his measurements, and the peak officially bears his name since 1858. His tomb sits atop the summit, alongside the viewing platform. An omnivore found throughout the mountain's spruce fir forests and lower hardwood slopes is the red fox. As the largest true fox, it is a highly adaptable mammal that features a distinctive bushy, white-tipped tail and reddish-orange fur. It is a highly athletic animal, being an excellent climber, a high jumper, an agile swimmer, and a swift predator. It is usually solitary or in small family units, and it is highly territorial, though its home ranges often overlap with coyotes, bobcats, and black bears. Ancient fossil remains from the mid-Pleistocene have been found throughout Appalachian caves, proving that these foxes have prowled the slopes for over 100,000 years. The largest inland body of water in Maryland has come to be known as Deep Creek Lake, a hotspot for year-round recreation. Completed in 1925 as an artificial lake, filling took fewer months than the projected 6 due to heavy snowfall and rainfall. This first hydroelectric project transformed the county from rural to a 4-season vacation hotspot. Now owned by the state, it is managed by Maryland DNR, Deep Creek Lake State Park, which provides public access. Famous as the northern terminus of the Appalachian Trail, and centerpiece of Baxter State Park is Mount Katahdin, home to rare alpine tundra. As the tallest peak in Maine, its name is Abenaki for the greatest mountain, or Main Mountain. Although its first European climb happened in 1804, it was actually surveyed earlier in 1802, but guides refused to summit due to spiritual beliefs. This is because the Penobscot and Abenaki peoples believed Katahdin's summit was the home of Pamola, a supernatural bird spirit with a moose's head, eagle wings, and a man's body, who was said to curse intruders with snow, storm, or death. Over 60 fatalities have occurred in Baxter State Park since 1933, as the mountain's forbidding terrain and sudden weather are legendary hazards. On the other hand, the state park is one of the best places in Maine to catch sightings of the largest living member of the deer family, the moose. It is easily spotted at ponds, marshes and streams, especially early morning or evening, and would be grazing on aquatic plants and wading in shallow waters. In fact, it can swim for several miles and dive up to 18 feet underwater to feed on plants. Due to this, the park's shores and marshes are full of moose tracks and wallows. Muddy seeps reveal their passage every dawn. It is often featured in Algonquian and Penobscot tribal lore as an emblem of endurance, since it can thrive in harsh northern climates, sometimes living up to 20 years. Naturally, moose hunting is illegal inside the park, resulting in a protected population that's more tolerant of human observers. The South Holston Lake is a major TVA reservoir, built in 1950 as one of the world's largest earth and rock fill dams. Renowned for world-class fishing, its annual water level fluctuations up to 30 to 40 feet for flood control and flow management. The 1991 TVA Labyrinth Weir below the dam adds oxygen for aquatic habitat, making the river below a top-rated trout fishery. Therefore, anglers from Tennessee and Virginia can purchase a South Holston Lake license to fish both states' waters. Grandfather Mountain boasts 16 ecological communities, rare southern Appalachian spruce fir forests, and record-setting wind speeds. In fact, its severe weather is often warned to visitors, as it includes icy fog, frequent storms, and persistent winds. Early pioneers saw human faces in the cliffs and named it Grandfather, as multiple visible profile rock formations were the points of local debate. It also hosts more than 70 rare and endangered plant-animal species, recognised as a United Nations International Biosphere Reserve. It was privately owned until 2008, when Hugh Morton inherited and developed Summit Access, a swinging bridge, wildlife exhibits, and promoted conservation. The swinging bridge is the highest suspension footbridge in America, and its name comes from how its construction uses vertical cables to allow gentle sway during wind or foot traffic. It first opened in 1952, though it was later reconstructed in 1999 with galvanised steel, cables, floorboards and railings for extra safety and wind resistance. Although the park has free trails, the bridge is only accessible via paid grandfather mountain admission due to being part of the developed summit site. Knoxville is the third biggest city in Tennessee and carries a variety of nicknames, such as Gateway to the Great Smoky Mountains, Marble City, and Scruffy City. Originally established as White's Fort by Revolutionary War veteran James White, it was renamed Knoxville to honour US Secretary of War Henry Knox. It served as the first capital of the Southwest Territory, later Tennessee, and briefly the Tennessee state capital after 1796. The historically important Treaty of Holston was signed at Knoxville's founding site, setting Cherokee land boundaries and kick-starting the city's growth. However, urban renewal was still slow due to political diversion until the 1982 World's Fair brought international attention and revitalisation. Mountain Dew, the iconic soft drink, was first produced here by Hartman Beverage in the 1940s. The Sun Sphere is a 266-foot tall steel truss tower capped by a 75-foot wide, gold-coloured glass sphere. It is infamously one of the two remaining landmarks of the 1982 World's Fair, as it once served as the centrepiece of World's Fair Park. Over 60,000 people rode to the top in the World's Fair's first 6 months, as an elevator ride cost $2 in 1982. Its public observation deck on the 4th floor offers a 360-degree panorama across the city. Funnily, in the popular adult cartoon show The Simpsons, the Sunsphere was jokingly depicted as a wig storage building, which ended up boosting tourism. A former Civil War fort site, Fort Dickerson Quarry, is currently a deep water swimming and paddling spot, part of Knoxville's urban wilderness. Blackwater Falls State Park is most famous for its namesake and centerpiece. At 62 feet tall, Blackwater Falls is the most photographed waterfall in West Virginia for the amber black water plunging into Blackwater Canyon on the Blackwater River. W. Kerr Scott Reservoir is noted for its extensive hybrid bass fishing and support for boating, swimming, and paddle sports. A certified section of the Over Mountain Victory National Historic Trail also runs along the shore, honouring Revolutionary War militia traces. It is named after a governor and US senator who secured federal support for the dam project. It possesses an important role in local water supply and drought management, as Wilkes County even has a water contract for lake withdrawals. The scenic borough of Jim Thorpe in Pennsylvania is nicknamed the Switzerland of America, featuring steep hills and notable Victorian architecture. Originally called Mauch Chunk, it was renamed Jim Thorpe in 1954, after the town made a deal to serve as the burial place for the famed Native American athlete, who had never lived there. The borough has a few notable landmarks, such as the Asa Paca Mansion, an Italianate-style mansion with 18 rooms built for the Lehigh Valley Railroad baron. It also has a reputation for adventure tourism, offering activities such as whitewater rafting, hiking, rail trail biking, and autumn leaf viewing draw thousands each year. Melton Hill Lake stretches 57 miles from Melton Hill Dam to Norris Dam, known to be a haven for muskie fishing, one of Tennessee's best, and also home to 27 additional species. Running through 4 counties, Loudoun, Roane, Anderson and Knox, it serves as a water supply for Oak Ridge and adjacent communities. Albany is not only rightfully renowned as the capital city of New York, but it is also the oldest continuously chartered city in the US, charter granted in 1686. It boasts 12 great colleges and universities, including the State University of New York at Albany. In the past, it was first inhabited by Algonquian-speaking Mohican and Iroquois tribes, but was then settled by the Dutch and later English, who named the city after the Duke of Albany. The city was the summit of trading along the Hudson River, most significantly Dutch, English, and later an American commercial centre. Interestingly, it hosts the nation's longest-running tulip festival every May in Washington Park, planted on what was once the city's main cemetery. It is also the birthplace of perforated toilet paper, invented by Seth Wheeler. The baker's dozen tradition arose here from a local legend. Housing New York's legislature is the New York State Capitol, the most expensive government building of its time. It features a 444-step, 119-foot-high, $1 million staircase, honouring 77 notable Americans, carved by immigrant stonecutters from Europe. Teddy Roosevelt, as governor, would use to sprint up 77 Capitol stairs each morning, as reporters had to beat him for interviews. The SUNY System Administration Building acts as the headquarters for the State University of New York, SUNY System, located at 353 Broadway in downtown Albany. It is distinctive for its elaborate Flemish Gothic style, modelled after the Cloth Hall in Ypres, Belgium, causing it to sometimes be called the Castle by locals. Located along the border east of Zionville and part of the Blue Ridge Mountains is Snake Mountain. Noted for dramatic ridgelines, the Snake Mountain Trail is known for steep ascents and a 2,240-foot prominence. In fact, both the Old Buffalo Trail and Daniel Boone Trail converged at Zionville, at Snake Mountain's foot, which are historic routes for Native American and pioneer migration. Local lore points to the ridge's winding serpentine shape, resembling a snake's form across the landscape. The ridge visually marks the state line, and prominent clefts in the mountain can be spotted for miles. Easily found throughout the mature woodlands in the mountains is the barred owl. It is characterised by its large, rounded head, lack of ear tufts, and distinct dark vertical bars on its belly and horizontal bars on its chest. Its right ear is higher than the left, allowing it to pinpoint prey location using stereo hearing. This bird is an opportunistic hunter, preying on a wide range of small mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, fish, crawfish, and insects. It is the common large owl in eastern woodlands, active year-round in forests, floodplains, river edges, and lake margins. Interestingly, historic fossils in Tennessee show the species present since the Pleistocene era. In southwest Virginia lies the largest city of Roanoke, which is a gateway to the Blue Ridge and Appalachian outdoor recreation. Possessing a lengthy legacy in railroad crossroads and transportation, railroads drove explosive growth as the population grew 22-fold in the boom years after 1882. However, the valley was first inhabited by the Tutelo people, and then European settlement grew after 1740, mainly Scotch-Irish and German immigrants. It is evidently nicknamed Festival City, as it hosts long-standing festivals such as Festival in the Park, Henry Street Festival, Go Outside Festival, Strawberry Festival, and Chili Cook-Off. The historical Basilica and Cathedral of St Andrew is a major site of worship and pilgrimage dedicated to Saint Andrew the Apostle. It is not only renowned for its monumental size, but also for its distinctive Romanesque and Gothic architecture, including replicas of ancient Roman churches and monumental towers. The Watauga River is a major Appalachian waterway flowing through North Carolina and Tennessee. It is the site of the Watauga Association, which is the first independent, self-governing body west of the Appalachians. The Watauga settlement became the springboard for the over-mountain men and the founders of Nashville during the American Revolution. Cherokee fought in defense of their homelands. The 1776 Treaty of Long Island ceded Watauga territory to the American colonies. The Acadia National Park in Maine is located on Mount Desert Island, with sections on Isle Oho and the Schoodic Peninsula. The park was created through land gifts championed by George B. Dorr, Charles W. Eliot, and John D. Rockefeller Jr., who funded the carriage roads and scenic bridges. Interestingly, it is designated the first US national park east of the Mississippi and the only national park in the northeastern states. Annual visitors, over 3.5 million, routinely ranks among the top 10 most visited national parks. The serene Jordan Pond is the cleanest, clearest lake in Maine, with visibility averaging 44 to 46 feet, max recorded 61 feet. Its north bubble and south bubble are two rounded roches moutonnées atop the pond's northern shore, icons of the park's skyline. Notably, the park estimates that over 60% of Acadia visitors stop at Jordan Pond during their visit. Unfortunately, swimming and pets are prohibited from the pond. There is only one sandy ocean beach in Acadia, and the sand is mostly shell fragments, quartz grains, and pink feldspar, naturally refined by surf rare for New England's rocky coasts. It is like a crescent-shaped Atlantic beach, enclosed by granite cliffs at the eastern edge of Mount Desert Island. Due to its name, it is popular for castle building, tide pooling, photography, and as a start-finish for hiking challenges. Flying in the open woodlands, farmlands and orchards is the eastern bluebird, a small, plump-bodied thrush with vivid cobalt blue on head, back and wings, with a brick-red breast. It is migratory and resides across Acadia, breeding in cavities with a lifespan of 6 to 10 years. However, it cannot excavate its own and relies on abandoned woodpecker holes or human-made boxes. They tend to sing a melodious warble and are usually solitary or in small family groups. As the official state bird of New York since 1970, it is also revered in Native American legend for bringing joy and prosperity, and is a symbol in many art and poetry traditions. Located at the southern tip of Mount Desert Island is the Bass Harbor Head Lighthouse. As the most photographed main lighthouse, it is named after Bass Harbor, a critical shelter for ships along the Atlantic coast. This is the Appalachian Mountains, a land of hidden wonders and remarkable architectural marvels. Now, if you don't want to miss the most hidden wonders of Wyoming, check out this video.